Welcome to another segment of Food for Thought. I'm really excited today. We've got David Paul. He is the chair of our board of directors. David, it's so good to have you on today.
Thank you for having me on and let me be a part of the team.
Well, for our viewers out there, this is the first time we've brought family from within the house to have a conversation on the proverbial Food for Thought chair here. But I could not think of a better person as we have navigated the season of pandemic, pre-pandemic, current pandemic, Delta version 2.0 pandemic. Our organization's been through quite a bit, and this person here on the opposite side of the screen with me has spent a ton of time thinking about, and really leading an incredible ensemble of a board of directors in supporting us, giving us wisdom and guidance. So, David, before all, just really glad and thankful for the work you do and the work that our board does. So we appreciate having you here.
Yeah, well, thank you. It has been a ride and an interesting time to be working with you with this organization, and I genuinely feel privileged to be a part of the ride. I really do.
Let's jump right in, and I kind of want to start right there. You made a decision, right, to join this ride. I know how busy you are, and our other directors, but why did you choose to serve on U.S. Hunger's board? And if there's anything specific about the mission that's really important to you, I'd love for our viewers to hear that.
Initially, if I'm 100% candid, and I will be, It was 100% directed because I believed in you. And if you were willing to leave a good job where you on a great career trajectory with the things that come along with the position you had in order to step into the nonprofit world, and knowing your faith, knowing your commitment, knowing who you are, I felt led to, just help in whatever way I could. So that was it. But over time, I became persuaded. Like it has become less about Rick Whitted to me, for better or worse, and more about seeing impact and opportunity and innovation, and what ultimately has kind of kept me on the board and led me to serve more deeply. It's really two things. One is the heart, the heartbeat of the people that have chosen to be a part of U.S. Hunger and feeding children everywhere. There's a heartbeat that I like being around. I like being around a tender heart, a heart that cares about people. I like being around that. I like being a part of it. But there's also, I'm excited about innovation and opportunity and stimulation, and if it's directed in an impactful area. And right now, I just think, candidly, I got lucky to really be engaging with the organization in a time where there was going to, by necessity, have to be innovation and creativity and progress. So I've stayed for the heart and also the progressive movement to innovate and make impact.
Well, I think one of the things that I have loved about your time here with the organization and our board, and you've led a lot of that, you challenged me and our leadership right out of the gate. Think big impact, think differently. I mean, how do you leave an incredible, indelible mark on the world? That's a tall order. And some of our listeners may not know, we woke up in the end of February last year, and at the eve of the pandemic, and 90% of our income was gone. And we have survived since that time. And the pivot that folks are looking at, that we have become a nonprofit technology organization with a software as a service platform. that can benefit others. We are really knee deep in the healthcare sector, and much of the services we provide through home delivery have become a healthcare a solution for some of our partners, and our meal packing is still there. So much innovation, but most of our listeners don't know the first part of that story. So I would love for you to take a second. You're behind the scenes. I love that you're transparent and you watch this organization. You and I, new CEO, new board of directors, and 90% of our revenue was gone. Because there may be someone listening in a similar situation, for profit or nonprofit. Love for you to share as the chairman of the board. What was that experience like, and how has that journey been for you as a board member?
Personally, initially there's a lot of fear, just because you think of every person
Yes.
as part of the organization, the people that have invested, years before I ever even was part of U.S. Hunger Feeding Children Everywhere. There were people that gave their lives, committed, not literally, but figuratively, to try to impact international feeding and people locally. So there's a lot of pressure to honor everything that went before you. So there was, for me, a lot of fear. There was a lot of fear.
Yeah.
And over time, what I have seen is it has forced clarity, beginning with the mission, because there were all these potential opportunities and lots of different things. But I believe the best, I know this isn't really about my experience, but to me, the pivot point of that entire season, where hunger events have now, because of COVID, we cannot do them. So the entire strategy for feeding people in a second has been impacted.
Yeah.
But I remember when we all got together and we spent time trying to clarify and I don't know if it's mission, vision, I don't know what it is, but just to get clarity, what are we called to do? And I really believe that pivot point has given me personally a lot of peace, because when we realized we're both trying to feed people, which had been the traditional model, but we're also trying to unite people for something bigger, which is a healthier tomorrow. It really helped a lot of that fear, because then it gave us something to take every opportunity and at least overlay it. And at least for me as a board director, just be sure whatever the strategy, whether it's software as a service or it's the move to the fresh produce with full cart, that the strategies that we were enacting ultimately were 100% consistent with the vision and the mission of the organization. And I believe that moment of clarity, for me, brought a lot of peace, because it defined direction.
I don't think I ever thought about it, David, until you just said it. It really, I think it was the one thing I heard you ask me a million times early on. I need clarity. I mean, what are you trying to say? Where are we really going? And and I think that was a half-day session where we walked away and said, okay, it's important to feed families, but we're not only feeding families today, we're uniting them to a healthier tomorrow. Healthy outcomes is always the goal. And when you look at how our organization has pivoted and is evolved, I can't even say evolved, is evolving, it really has gone in that direction, where our hunger projects and even Full Cart is about making sure you got to feed them today. But using data and analytics, and through the voice and the power of the person who's saying they need the help, right? Let them tell you what's happening and what they need, using the voice to unite to healthier outcomes. And that is, getting targeted food to the right places, or building collaborative partnerships that do that better than us, or that solve the problems which are the reasons they're hungry in the first place. I think you're spot on that, as I think about being a leader of this organization, the board really challenging for clarity and not being afraid to challenge uncomfortably for clarity, just really set in place a strategy for the business that's critical in times like this when you're just uncertain.
Right.
Everything is so uncertain.
And a lot of it is because the heart piece was going to be there no matter what.
Yeah.
But adding to the heart piece, innovation and creative strategy and clarity, to me, what that's done is it's taken something that would be worthy 100% if the only piece was we're going to feed people today. That's worth my time. It's worth your time. It's worth money. It's worth everything. It's worth it all. But if
Yeah.
you add
Yeah.
to that, we're also trying to do something even bigger long term than that. It's exciting.
Yeah. So this wasn't in my script, but I've learned so much from you around this area. If you had to speak to 2 or 3 things that were key for whether it's an organization, a leader, an individual, and they're saying, I'm trying to seek that clarity. Because I remember literally you writing bullet points. I need to understand this, this, and this. What would you say is your guide to bringing clarity to one's life, one's mission, one's purpose, one's career, one's business?
I think it first begins with listening.
Yeah.
Really listening to ourselves is part of it. Like I believe that in most of our meetings, when I ask you a question and you get to clarity on the end, you already have it. I'm not, all I'm doing is giving an opportunity and a moment for you to kind of listen to yourself. So I think
Yeah.
it's listening to yourself. And then I think it's also being around a team that, is going to, and I believe that's for family, no different than business or
Agreed.
nonprofits or churches, whatever it is, that having an environment where you can actually listen is the first step. And then I think the second is recognizing that most of the time it really does take to get clarity. You're rarely going to have certainty. Certainty and clarity are not the same thing.
Yeah.
You can
Whew,
have
well
clarity.
said.
This is what I need to do because it seems clear, but you're not certain it's going to work out.
Oh, well, I'm getting through the PTSD of uncertain pandemic. So
Yes,
you're hitting
yes.
some real important topics. Listening, and I love the concept that certainty and clarity are not the same thing. And I think there are a few times I've convinced myself of something, and you've done just that. You just kept asking questions till I actually heard myself. So I really appreciate that. So we're closing it out. Just one last question. God, this time has flown by.
Hmm.
As we develop our data analytics and our machine learning capabilities, and some may not know, but we are knee deep in adding both machine learning and AI, artificial intelligence, to our system, which really takes these tens of thousands of stories and begins to identify root causes and levels of urgency. And that's a 6 to 8 month project that we have been working on with one of our amazing partners over at JP Morgan Chase. Talk to us a little bit about how do you see our organization making the most impact in the future?
I think the number one thing, oddly, is not in innovation. As much as I'm drawn to that, and I believe it's going to be impactful, I think it is uh, bringing out the reality of a culture that is engaging people to collaborate together. you know, when I think of what the lasting footprint is, I really believe it's going to be not having this traditional model where people that are trying to solve problems and address problems are all siloed up and they're afraid to partner with another organization because how are they going to get the funding, or what are they going to do? And so, you know, my belief is the biggest impact is changing how collaboration happens in addressing issues of hunger and health. Because years ago, who could have ever thought of a health insurance company partnering with, you know, U.S. Hunger, feeding children everywhere, and it being 100% consistent with the mission to feed families today, people that need food. They're hunger insecure and they need it. So we wouldn't have thought that that would happen through health insurance, but we're in such an evolving climate, and the world's changing so fast. I believe that it's going to be in the collaboration piece, and I also think there's a piece of breaking some of the barriers that people have when they look at nonprofits. And by that, I mean, most people are not looking at nonprofits to change technology and how people are seeing technology. They don't think of it that way. And my hope is that the way that we're trying to both operationalize and make dignity such a part of that, and we're literally like a test case, research and development for how you can have technological advances that actually increase dignity.
Oh, so good. So good. So good. We are out of time, and I knew this was going to happen because I could go about another hour with you. David, thank you so much, first of all, for being a part of today's conversation, but in the greater picture for you and your whole family, and allowing you to invest time into this mission and this cause. You are a great friend of U.S. Hunger. You're an even greater friend to the fight against hunger, and we appreciate that. That's all our time, and that's our food for thought today. Thanks.